Hey guys, Z's here, and I will be going over the Demonology Warlock for PvE. Why is it that we go Demonology? This guy right here. This big badass baller right here. Yeah. But other than that, Demonology has a lot of awesome aspects to it. Let's start with the core abilities. For Demonology, you have Corruption, which is going to be pretty much your main dot. It's not super badass like it is in Affliction, but it still gets the job done. So, you're going to always have that on your target. Multiple targets if you can, for that will generate even more Demonic Fury, and we'll get to that later. Your filler, your main filler in this spec is your Shadow Bolts. You're going to fire off as many Shadow Bolts as you can between doing nothing, waiting for certain procs or certain abilities to come back up, and it also helps you generate your Demonic Fury. One of the awesome abilities that a lot of people go Demonology for is this, Hand of Gul'dan. To see some changes, but it's still pretty badass. What it does is summons a big ass meteor that just slams down on your target. That target then takes dot damage from Shadow Flame. Shadow Flame helps you helps you get Demonic Fury, which will basically help you go into Metamorphosis, and we'll go over more of that later. And your Mac Daddy ability, the one you're waiting to use all the time, is Soulfire. Soulfire normally has a long cast, so it's horrible to cast without having certain procs. But when you have the proc, Soulfire is going to be your main thing. It's going to be on top of your damage pretty much at all times. It's your bread and butter. You're going to go to it whenever shit gets dangerous and you need to crack a fool in the face. Alright, let's look at some of our specializations and our talents. I want to start off with Demonic Fury. Demonic Fury is pretty much, it replaces your mana bar when you're in Metamorphosis, which is pretty awesome because at times mana can be quite crappy for Demonology. But switching between Metamorphosis and Caster form, your mana can normally stabilize itself pretty damn well. Demonic Fury also increases your damage, I believe. I'll find the talent in a second. We'll get to that. What else here? We got Molten Core. Molten Core is the proc that this entire spec is based around. Molten Core gives your wild imps, which are, let me see, I'll show you right here. These little bastards that spawn off certain Shadow Bolts. These guys go ham. I mean, their damage is pretty legit. They're going to be always up on the top of your DPS as well as Soulfire. And each time they shoot their little fireballs, it has a chance to proc your Soulfire. Boom! You see? That's just awesome. A 1.7 second Soulfire, depending on your haste. Your haste might be better than mine, it might be worse. Doesn't matter. It cuts the spell in 50% haste and mana. So, like I said, it costs 15k mana for you to just fire that off in 3.3 seconds. Completely not useful. You might as well just use a fucking Shadow Ball. That's what they're for. They're your filler until you get the proc. So every so often, about between 16 and 20 seconds, these little bastards will spawn off of your Soulfires or your Shadow Bolts. They're really helpful. You want to have them up all the time. There's a glyph, and if you're really serious in the Demonology, you're going to get the glyph because it's absolutely wonderful. Right here, Imp Swarm. Whenever you use it, you'll summon 5 of these bastards, and they'll attack your target and blow them up. Pretty much, it's pretty awesome ability. I'll show you. I'm gonna Soulfire this, get my little imp to spawn, and summon these bad boys. And look at that. Look at this little army of imps, just going ham. You know, you don't have to do anything. Just sit back and watch them go crazy. And look how fast your Demonic Fury goes up. It goes up pretty quick when you have these out. And plus, on top of your abilities that you're doing, you're gonna get max Demonic Fury pretty quickly. And you see, as you can see, they're proccing my Molten Core. Really awesome. Just a lot of damage coming out from the imps. They're a big part of your DPS. let's see what else we have here. Felguard. Felguard, you're always going to want the Felguard out, or if you spec into Grimoire of Supremacy, which you most likely will, unless you find Grimoire of Service a lot more useful, which it can vary, but I find Grimoire of Supremacy to be better. You're going to get an even better version of the Felguard that's going to do 20% additional damage and have some cool looking abilities, better abilities, and he is like a complete badass. Let's bring him out, shall we? This guy is the Wrathguard. And as you can tell, he is a badass. Just balling in some armor and a six-pack. That's all he needs. And his two looks like those little Hell Reavers. But this guy, his ability, Mortal Cleave, is going to generate you 12 Demonic Fury earlier today. Oh, a little lag spike right there. But let me read you the mastery. It'll increase the damage of your demon servants by 19.55%, damage you deal in caster form by 19.95%, and the damage you deal using metamorphosis increased by 59.84%. It's a lot more when you're actually reforged, right? Like I'm not right now. So mastery is a big part, but I really don't insist stacking mastery. And I'll get into that right now. Your Soulfire is always going to crit. Every time you cast this bad boy, it's gonna crit, which is really awesome. And its damage scales to your crit. So, going 50-50 with crit and mastery might be the better way to go. That's what I do in Demonology, and I find it to be fine. So, because you're gonna shoot off as many Soulfires. Oh, look at this before I continue. That is just badass. And you know it is. A lot of the reasons people go Demonology is, oh, hey man, it looks badass, you know? Yeah, but you don't know how to play it. So, listen up. Soulfires. You're gonna be spamming those a lot. Especially late on a raid target. Once they're at 20-25%, you're gonna be shooting Soulfires like it's nothing with the talent Decimation. This is going to be your execution phase. When Soulfire or Shadow Bolt land on a target 25% health or below, you gain the Molten Core effects, which is, you already know. So, every time the target gets to 25% health, you're not going to just want to instantly, oh, I'm going to Soulfire when it's at 25% health. You're going to wait for until you get the proc that you want. Why am I lagging? You're going to wait for your main proc, boom. And then once you get that proc, you're just gonna go ham. You're gonna spam all those Soulfires you can get out, and they're gonna be short casting and just slam into your target. And when you're in demon form, you're gonna be doing even more damage with it, and it's just amazing. Alright. We're gonna go into getting your Molten Core procs and trying to manage them. The best ways to get it, or the only ways really, are your Hand of Gul'dan and your imps. On the start of a pool, say this is your raid boss, blah blah blah, you're getting ready to pull, tank goes in. Let's pull this little bastard back for a second and reset this. Even though DPS doesn't really matter, I'm just showing you guys what's going on. Tank's going in, you're pulling, you're gonna hit him with your 8% or your 5% even spell damage. You're gonna put that corruption on him. Gul'dan, I like using Gul'dan not one after the other, even though you have two charges of it. I like getting that Shadow Flame, and then when the Shadow Flame goes off, boom, do it again, so you can keep that dot running as much as possible. I find that easier because, well, not easier, but better because you're spacing out the chances of getting your Soulfire instead of like, oh, I'm just gonna boom and then boom, do it again, because it doesn't go off of you landing Gul'dan, it goes off of the ticks. So that's what you really want. You want the ticks to go off of your Shadow Flame so you can get your procs. So that's what really focuses around. And then you're going to be spamming Shadow Bolt while keeping up Corruption. Corruption's going to give you 4 per tick. So that's pretty awesome. And you can either do a Fell Flame to keep it up if you want. I kind of recommend that because it's going to give you even more Demonic Fury. It's going to give you 15 Demonic Fury when you do it. And that's a lot better than just, alright, it's about to wear off, I'm gonna do this again. Because you don't get any from just casting corruption. So you might as well grab the extra 15 if you're really wanting it. Or if you find that your demonic fury is going up just fine and you're about to switch anyways, don't do it. Whatever you really feel like. But it's really not going to matter too much with your DPS, but you will switch into demon form faster. So yeah, get your procs up with that and that. So at the start of the pool, you're going to pop all your imps. You can have your guy go Blade Storm if you really want him to. Or if you know AoE is going to come up, you can save him for that, so you really don't have to switch mobs. And then boom, I'm going to lay that back down on there. I'm going to spam some Shadow Bolts. Boom, I have my proc. I'm going to refresh Corruption now. And just fire off about 3 of these things right now, because I'm getting a bunch of procs. And just all that damage coming out. I'm going to lay another one of those Shadow Flames down. Soulfire. And then this is really it. This is really it until you go into demon form. You're trying to keep as much uptime as Shadow Flame as you can. It's not going to be 100% because of the cooldown, and you're going to fire off soul fires as much as you can possible. So let's go into demon form now. Let's call this guy back so we can talk about some of our demon form abilities. When you use demon form, you're going to feel like a complete badass. You can either go up in the melee range like some do, or chill from afar, but your abilities are going to change. So this is what I do. The first time I go in the demon form, I hardly ever use demonic leap. It just looks badass to just fucking rawr, boom, bitch, let's go. But you really don't have to deal with that. Half the time, your range DPS anyways.